is going to be concerning the site where a derailment happened. Pretty simple thing to look up. And also a single posting someone posted, I'm saying posted twice, someone left under a video sarcastically indicating that yes, someone has come up with a bullshit story about a derailment of a train. So this is a aerial photo. Someone flew over the area, took a photo at an angle. They're looking from this edge towards this edge. This is further out, so it's kind of distorted. Now, a couple of features I'm going to point out. This dirt road next to the rails that goes here and then loops around something. There's some sort of structure here to avoid hitting. Don't know what it is. Over here is where the rails split. This is the main line, and this is the side track. You should also notice on the side here we have lots and lots of railroad ties because maintenance is done on a ridiculously regular basis if you have a good rail line. The joke about railroads is that they're made out of consumable and destructible devices, aka things that wear out. Here you will see a loop of dirt road here that goes to the main external road here. And over here you can see, here you can see four what look like propane tanks. And you can kind of make out some other details here, including that this road here somewhat diverges off this way. Now we'll see that in the map in a second. Okay, so here's the diverging part I just pointed out. Let's go back. It's right here. And over here we see a place that looks a little bit chiseled out, but it doesn't show up. This is an older map, an aerial view. Here's the curve around to go into the normal road here. And then again, we go back. That would be here. And here's the place where the rail diverges. And here are the four propane tanks. I pointed out that they were here. And this is the diverging point. And here's that little bend here. And here is where that bend is here. Obviously, the image that I have to work with is from a lower flying plane or maybe a drone pointing at the area. So the area where this happened is right here. And they'd almost made it to this crossing over here. Because of where it happened, maintenance crews and safety vehicles and such could just go to here, drive up here, and pretty much go all along this road. Most railroads have a normal road nearby that enables you to do maintenance because it has to be done so often. You might want to go out and check a railroad nearby and see if there's a road right next to it that has really, really deep ruts and lots of fresh activity near it, before deciding that it seems suspicious that there are railroad ties next to a railroad. Surprise? No, I'm not. Now, the thing is that you can find them along most railroads, and on the other side over here, at least in this older image, on the other side of this intersection here, there's an absolute pile of them. The reason for this is maintenance. Railroad ties are made out of wood. They can last like 70 years, 40 years. Depends on the work and maintenance and temperature changes. Look up where this happened. Anyway, so you might see railroad ties, chunks of wood, sitting on the side of a train track, and they may even look organized and such, but they could be very, very old. They could be rotted out badly. Also, it should be pointed out, a lot of people were noticing that in the image you could see what looks like a replacement railroad track right next to where the derailment happened. So let's zoom in a bit. Let's see here. This section here was what people pointed out. That may be that the crew showed up and brought out literal patched tracks to put in, or maybe they were patching some other section. But this is a side track here for a train. This is only one rail set to pull off to the side and be able to have another train pass every once in a while. That's what it's for. Again, well-worn road next to train tracks means that they're repairing train tracks all the time. And the thing is, immediately when a train goes bad, they take care of everybody, they evacuate everybody, and after that, the attitude of any rail company and railroad management team is get permission from the NTSB or whatever to just chuck the trains onto something to get them out of there or get them out of the way and repair that train track. Because their priority is get the train track going again. Because they have to keep it running constantly. And they don't stand on ceremony. It has to be maintained. And if they can salvage this rail they will. And if they can't, they'll chop it out without a thought, throw it to the side, kick it like they hate it, and put in new rail. I lived in a small town where, of course, everybody knows what this is like. I lived on one side or the other, the tracks. Pro tip, both sides were the bad side of town, bad side of the tracks. And when they do maintenance, they would just come out and just rip things up and just rebuild stuff as fast as possible, all in a day or so, if they had to. And that's it. There's nothing really remarkable about anything anybody's brought up about it, but someone decided to create a conspiracy theory meme and fail at it by saying there are railroad ties next to the train tracks. Yeah, sort of like there's service stations near highways. That's why they're called service stations. Stuff needs to be maintained. In the case of cars, you maintain the cars wherever you get a chance. In the case of railroad tracks, you have to maintain them all the time. And railroads are very reliable compared to roads. Roads get tore up once every year in a way that disrupts everything. They can't do that with trains. They got a one-lane highway most of the time. This is a little side cut so you can move the train out of the way if you need to because the train's coming through. But right here, yeah, you can't let this have any downtime. So that's why they may even have complete sections like that as patch track sets to be picked up using basically a little crane and put it in place. Anyway, people noticed that on the side of the train tracks were railroad ties. And, yeah. 2021, September 25th, 3:55 p.m., MDT. At those GPS locations. 2 miles west of Joplin, Montana, at a gradual right-hand curve prior to reaching a railroad switch, not after it, and at the entrance to a railroad siding that was inspected 2 days earlier. The area was inspected. Amtrak 724 derailed 8 of its 10 cars. Nearby, and also at that GPS location there which I showed you, which is a pile, in Google Maps, some people noticed piles of railroad ties. 9 foot long, 200 pounds each. Wooden ties can last up to 70 years, but usually it's 40. They can be stored near where work may need to be done. Obviously, if they can last 70 freaking years if they're untouched, they can sit there. When used up, it's often left out to rot by the side of the track and or just not cared about. Hauling it off is money, and they don't need to waste that. Maintenance might replace approximately 10% of the ties in a section of track in a week, or the whole thing in one day if they can get away with it. Depends on the workload. Regular maintenance means that they don't have to have emergencies. And again, it's not about our safety. They don't want to spend money on downtime. So their best interest is to make sure they never have a derailment. This kind of thing this is a choke point. All train tracks are choke point. Any derailment, any problem is a massive loss of money. It is never something that anyone would want to have happen for any reason. And yet someone somewhere on Facebook told you this is all part of some weird plan. I can't even. But yeah, I grew up in an area where railroad ties were put in piles next to the trains because they come along and have to repair them all the time. And storing them a mile away from where they thought work might happen was done as well as putting it near work would happen because they didn't know where the work would happen necessarily. They do maintenance, they go through, they put time tags or little stick tags or nails on them, just like they do telephone poles. They're not some secret language, they're well documented. And every rail fan in the comment section under these videos is saying the same thing. You people are newbies and you don't know what you're talking about, please shut up. I'm not a rail fan or a foamer, but I do know some. Anyway, yeah, there's nothing suspicious about this so far, and the most likely thing to cause this, because the train tracks were inspected, and Amtrak is pretty good about keeping their equipment running, is we don't know what happened. And until we know what happened, thinking about it, okay, talking about it, yeah, sure, but speculating isn't going to fix anything. Ask the railroad people how they fix things. They don't do it by speculating. They go about inspect and fix. That's how you're supposed to do it. Everything else is bullshit. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with all that.